The art of simply not dying is quite simple with the speaker's sight. You throw a healing grenade, you get restoration, teammates benefit from the turret, so on, but whatever. Honestly though, that's just kind of basic, not really optimal, and it's kind of lacking the aggression you could actually get from this exotic. What I want to show in this video is how you can use the survivability provided from the speaker's sight to maximise offensive capabilities. As you'll be able to see now, even in Grandmaster Nightfalls you can just charge straight in without the worry of dying. One of the first things which may surprise you is I'm going to just recommend ditching the Touch of Flames aspect. While it does improve healing grenades, I think there's much more potential in Heat Risers. This allows you to consume a grenade for a whole bunch of benefits which will heavily synergise with other build options, but doing this will still spawn in a healing turret at your current location as long as healing grenades are equipped. Oh, and here's a funny Heat Risers interaction. Did you know that while in the Song of Flame super, the ability to consume grenades is still present? And with a very quick grenade recharge you can summon an army of healing turrets for honestly a kind of absurd amount of healing. And that is of course on top of the damage resistance provided in super. The other benefits are, as well as a turret spawned, when eating a grenade, yourself and nearby allies will be granted 3 cure stacks, essentially just a full heal, and you will be granted restoration ×1. And while the Heat Risers buff remains active, you can hold yourself in the air while firing weapons, and any airborne kill will grant a large amount of melee energy between 20 to 50% depending on enemy type defeated. But there is just one thing missing. Touch of Flame allows for restoration ×2, which is an extremely potent healing effect. However, there is another method of obtaining this. Heat Risers has yet another benefit, this time with Phoenix Dive. Activate this under the effect of Heat Risers and this will grant yourself restoration ×2, as well as curing nearby allies and scorching nearby targets. Oh, and this also enables the second aspect, Hellion. This will provide a solar buddy with each class ability cast, and this thing's actually quite potent too. Able to cause ignitions alone, and with its duration of 20 seconds, this can be active all the time due to the short cooldown of Phoenix Dive. So with both aspects and grenades involved, here's the basic healing loop. Eat your healing grenade to spawn a turret. Pop Phoenix Dive to bump up restoration to ×2, and summon a solar buddy. Now the rest is up to Fragments to extend and enhance these effects and use weapons which will synergise with them. As for those fragments, here's my go-to. Ember of Solace, Ember of Tortures, Ember of Empyrean and Ember of Benevolence. This setup will be perfect if you're running a solo weapon and in-group content to benefit from Benevolence. The idea is to use Solace and Empyrean together to infinitely extend both restoration ×2 and Radiant. Ember of Tortures is a source of Radiant, and while Radiant Orbs does exist as an alternative method this season, I still like this fragment as it also shares a Radiant effect with teammates. And since this build has incredibly high charge melee uptime, you can keep the whole fireteam Radiant with ease. Finally, Ember of Benevolence is the engine which juices up the abilities to 11. Applying any of Radiant, Cure or Restoration to allies grants 400% recharge rate to all abilities for 6 seconds. This is another one where in the right situation it will just never not be active. For Benevolence however, if you're running solo it's a complete waste of a slot. In this case, swap it out for Ember of Singeing, which will still provide that 400% regen rate but only to class abilities, and upon scorching targets, but remember Phoenix Dive itself does scorch. For weapons it's honestly quite flexible. A solar primary will help to extend Radiant and Restoration. Thankfully there's a lot of great options, just a few off the top of my head right now. There's Sunshot, Nullify, Zoli's Bane, even Callous Minotaur, but just use what you prefer. And also do note that between Hellion, Phoenix Dive and Charge Melees, there is already quite a lot of solo defeats, so feel free to completely freestyle your weapon loadout to suit the activity. Otherwise, just run something hard hitting. If you want something actually quite fun, Legend of Acriuus is weirdly great here. You can use it alongside the Song of Flame super as the enhanced melee will proc Trench Barrel, and you won't have to worry about the dangers of being in close range of a shotgun, as Song of Flame has a casual 90% damage reduction. And with that I think it's time I go more in depth about Song of Flame. I've already noted that you can spam healing turrets while it's active, but you can do so much more. Used right, it's kind of like a mobile Well of Radiance but with additional benefits. You won't really ever have to use Well again. At base it lasts for 25 seconds, and while active will grant 90% damage resist, and 30% damage resist to nearby allies. It will also grant Radiant upon cast, and while active your melee will be enhanced. Highly recommend Incinerator Snap, it just seems quite a lot better, pretty much guaranteeing an ignite per hit if used in close proximity. Grenades will also be enhanced to a Seeking Projectile. I honestly don't use this too much and prefer to instead use these to create healing turrets. It's more so for ad clear and single target damage if you do choose to use it. These abilities will also recharge incredibly quickly, but take away from the base super duration each time they are used. So sometimes the play is not to use these abilities on cooldown, and instead focus on weapon damage to maximise the super uptime for its other benefits. Also note that nearby allies will get increased ability regen rate, but not quite as fast as a caster. Any kinetic or solar weapons you have will also apply Scorch on hit. It's not a huge amount, it has to be said, but it will add an extra 3 ignitions over the duration of a super if used on a single target. So it's more so just another reason to run solar weapons. There's a lot going on, but it can all be simplified down to just use Song of Flame as an invincibility button. Activate it and just go crazy. You still have full weapon access, so stunning champions or DPS rotations are still available, but you also have 90% damage resist and the ability to spawn a healing turret every few seconds. I can't really describe this in any other way than just incredible. To round out this build, my Armour Mods setup was more focused on ability looping and super regen. Helmet, use a harmonic siphon or swap this to your weapon type. Hands on because Incinerator Snap can be spammed, and I use Powerful Friends because this build generates a lot of orbs, and that armor charge can be shared with your fire team this way. Gloves, Stack Grenade Kickstart, for more healing turrets, this is never really a bad thing. For chest it's resist mods to match the activity, and I also use a single copy of Charged Up to increase maximum armor charges. Legs, both recuperation and innovation for health and grenade regen, with stacks on stacks to improve armor charge gain rate. Class item Reaper is really nice as Phoenix Dive will be cast a lot, and also powerful attraction for the same reason, being able to easily pick up those orbs generated. I will say though the Armour Mod setup is quite flexible. If you want to really utilise these mods to their best, have one setup for creating armor charges, and then another damage focus setup with weapon surges. Or you could just camp weapon surges if you just want maximum damage. Now that's just about everything, but I want to cover a few things I did not include which people might be drawn to with a build such as this and explain why I didn't really bother with them. First up, the No Hesitation or perhaps even the Red Death. These weapons provide cure to either teammates or yourself and fit into the support playstyle. They're even solo. But to be honest, it's overkill. The support provided is enough to keep even the most aggressive fire team alive, and we don't really need to be role-playing Mercy from Overwatch on top of all of this. But sure, I do see the synergy. I'll say use them if you want, but don't feel like you should or you have to. Well of Radiance. I mean, hopefully here I've just gassed up Song of Flame enough. The only thing I could really see well doing better is a reliable source of Radiant. But you can just periodically use a powered melee when in super with Emperor of Tortures to give your teammates Radiant that way. Use it if you're prone to teammates peer pressure, but just know in your heart that Song of Flames is probably the way to go. Also Prismatic. I did try a few setups with this, but I feel it's missing quite a lot of key parts to really make the best out of Speaker's Sight. It's an entirely different build. It's not a bad one though, that has to be said. Let me know if you want to see a prismatic variant in the future. So that's all there is to it. It is in fact possible to be both a support and a damage dealer simultaneously. And the best part is, you don't even need to rely on Well of Radiance anymore. Thank you for watching.